Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to be jumping headfirst into the world of League of Legends esports.
Yeah.
Specifically trying to figure out how it became such a global phenomenon. Our guide for this journey is going to be this fascinating document called League of Legends and its Esports Dominance, a 30-minute discussion dataset.
Right.
So get ready for some seriously interesting stories, some surprising stats,
Yeah,
and maybe even a few aha moments along the way.
for sure. It's a wild ride, the story of League of Legends.
Yeah.
Or LOL, as most fans know it.
Oh, well, yeah.
It started in a very different place than the esports giant it is today.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that it all started with a mod for Warcraft III called Defense of the Ancients way back in 2009.
Back in the day.
So what was it about LOL that took that MOBA concept and turned it into something so huge?
Well, one crucial factor was Riot Games.
Yeah.
The developers' decision to make LOL free-to-play.
Oh, yeah.
This was a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
In the early days of online gaming, back then,
Yeah.
many games required an upfront purchase or subscription fees.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which really limited their potential audience.
Yeah.
By removing that barrier, LOL became instantly accessible to anyone with a computer and an internet connection.
So that free-to-play model really opened the doors for LOL to just grow like crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It allowed LOL to cultivate this massive and passionate community right from the start.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. When a game is free,
Yeah.
it's easier for people to convince their friends to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hey, check out this game. It's free.
Yeah.
This word-of-mouth spread, combined with frequent updates
Yeah.
that kept the game fresh,
Yeah.
helped LOL attract millions of players in a very short amount of time.
I can imagine, yeah.
By 2012, it was already the most played PC game
Wow.
in both North America and Europe,
Uh-huh.
boasting a staggering 32 million players.
Okay, that is impressive growth. But just having a big player base doesn't automatically equal esports success. Right. What else did Riot do to turn this gaming community into a thriving esports scene?
Well, they didn't just rest on that free-to-play model. They understood that for a game to thrive as an esport,
Right.
it needed to be more than just fun to play.
Yeah.
It had to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, okay.
And that meant investing in a structured and competitive ecosystem. They needed to create a stage where the most skilled players could showcase their talents and captivate audiences.
So how did they go about building that stage?
Their first big move was launching the first League of Legends World Championship back in 2011.
Okay.
Now, this wasn't the multi-million-dollar spectacle we see today,
Right.
held at DreamHack in Sweden.
Okay.
The first tournament had a relatively modest prize pool of $100,000.
Wow.
It might seem small in comparison to today's prize pools, but it was a signal of intent. A statement that Riot was serious about building a competitive scene around LOL.
So was that first World Championship a success?
While it didn't have the same global viewership
Yeah.
as later tournaments,
Right.
it definitely generated a lot of buzz within the community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the matches were intense, the
Yeah.
rivalries were fierce,
Yeah.
and it was clear that LOL had the potential to be a captivating esport.
So it was a good start, but they knew they needed to do more to really take LOL esports to the next level?
Exactly. And that's where their vision for a complete ecosystem came in.
Okay.
They didn't just want to host tournaments.
Right.
They wanted to create a sustainable and thriving competitive scene
Yeah.
with opportunities for players of all skill levels.
I see. So it was about building that foundation for long-term growth. What steps did they take to make that happen?
One of the most important moves was the introduction of structured regional leagues
Oh, okay.
back in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
like the League Championship Series,
Okay.
or LCS.
The LCS.
This created separate leagues
Mhm.
for North America,
Mm-hmm.
Europe,
Okay.
which was then called the European LCS and is now known as the LEC,
Right.
and other regions around the world.
Okay.
By establishing these regional leagues, Riot created year-round competition and fostered local rivalries,
Oh, okay.
giving fans even more to be passionate about.
Yeah.
Right.
So instead of just waiting for Worlds once a year,
Exactly.
fans could now follow their favorite local teams, competing week after week. Right. It's like how traditional sports have regular seasons leading up to a championship.
Precisely.
Right.
And it was a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
These regional leagues not only nurtured local talent
Yeah.
and provided a pathway for players to go pro,
Okay.
but they also created a more engaging and consistent viewing experience for fans. You weren't just rooting for the best players in the world.
Yeah.
You were rooting for the best players from your region, your country.
Yeah.
This local pride
added
another layer of depth to the esports scene, further cementing LoL's global appeal.
Okay, so they had the players, they had the leagues, they had the global community.
Right.
What was it about the game itself that made League of Legends such a good esport to watch?
LoL strikes this really unique balance.
Okay.
The basic gameplay is relatively easy to understand.
Yeah.
Even for someone who's never played a MOBA before. You have 2 teams of 5 players each.
Okay.
Each controlling a unique champion.
Yeah.
With special abilities.
Okay.
The goal is to destroy the enemy team's base while defending your own.
Okay.
You have lanes to control, jungle areas to navigate, and objectives like towers and dragons to fight over.
Okay, I can see how that would be really visually engaging.
Yeah.
But what about the strategic depth? Doesn't it just get repetitive after a while?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
While the basic concept is easy to grasp,
Yeah.
LoL has an incredible amount of strategic depth. Sheer number of champions, each with their own unique abilities and roles, creates this incredibly complex strategic landscape. You have to consider team compositions, champion synergies, counter picks, lane matchups, objective control, jungle pathing, vision control, resource management, and so much more.
So there's like a lot more going on under the surface than meets the eye.
It's deceptive in its simplicity.
So how did Riot make sure that viewers could actually like follow all this action and all this strategy?
That's where their investment in professional-grade broadcasts comes in.
Okay.
They brought in top-tier commentators.
Yeah.
People like Rivington, Freak, and Quickshot.
Yeah.
Who became stars in their own right. These weren't just commentators. They were storytellers.
Yeah.
Analysts and personalities who brought the game to life for viewers. They explained the strategies, highlighted key moments, and created a truly captivating viewing experience.
So they were like the color commentators you'd find in traditional sports.
Exactly.
Adding that extra layer of insight and entertainment to the broadcasts.
Right. They made it easy for even casual viewers to understand what was happening, while also providing in-depth analysis for those who wanted to like dive deeper into the strategic nuances. And let's not forget about the innovative features they implemented for viewers, like the in-game spectator mode.
Oh, yeah, the spectator mode. That's where you can like actually jump into the game and watch the action unfold from different perspectives.
Exactly. It's like having a front row seat to the action.
Yeah.
You can follow your favorite player's perspective.
Right.
Analyze their decision-making.
Yeah.
And really get a feel for the intensity of professional play.
Totally.
And they also implemented advanced analytics that viewers could access, providing real-time stats and insights into the match.
So it sounds like they were really pushing the boundaries of what an esports broadcast could be. Were there any particular events that stand out as milestones in LOL esports history?
Oh, absolutely. The Season 3 World Championship in 2013 was a defining moment.
Okay.
Riot had the event at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, the home of the LA Lakers and Clippers.
Wow. Holding a video game tournament in an arena that big was a pretty bold statement.
It was a game changer. Holding the World Championship in such a prestigious venue really legitimized esports in the eyes of many. It sent a message that LOL esports wasn't just some niche hobby.
Yeah.
It was a mainstream form of entertainment worthy of the big stage.
Right.
This event set a new standard for esports production.
Okay.
And helped propel LOL esports into the global spotlight.
Okay, so by this point, LOL had a thriving community. It had a robust competitive ecosystem and a captivating viewing experience. What was the next chapter in this esports success story?
Well, as LOL's reach expanded globally, it wasn't just about individual players or teams anymore.
Okay.
It became about regional pride.
Right.
And fierce rivalries between different parts of the world.
Oh, so like the classic East versus West rivalry you see in traditional sports?
Exactly. And within that, you had even more nuanced rivalries between specific regions, each with their own unique play styles and strategic philosophies.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into these regional rivalries. Which regions were the major players in the early days of LOL esports?
Well, Korea quickly established itself as a dominant force.
Okay.
Their league, the LCK,
Okay.
which stands for League of Legends Champions Korea,
Okay.
became known for its incredibly high skill level and strategic depth.
What was it about Korean teams that made them so dominant?
They were known for their meticulous planning,
Okay.
their disciplined execution,
Yeah.
and their mastery of the fundamentals.
Yeah.
They prioritized macro play,
Okay.
focusing on objectives, vision control,
Yeah.
and efficient resource management. Think of them as like a well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
with each player knowing their role and executing their tasks flawlessly.
So they were all about precision
Yes.
and efficiency. Did any other regions challenge their dominance?
China quickly emerged as a major contender.
Okay.
Their league, the LPL, which stands for League of Legends Pro League,
Okay.
was known for its aggressive and explosive play style,
Okay.
a stark contrast to the more controlled approach of the Korean teams.
Right. Yeah.
The LPL was a hotbed of individual talent,
Yeah.
with players known for their mechanical skills and willingness to make big plays.
Okay.
They weren't afraid to take risks,
Yeah.
push the tempo, and create chaos for their opponents.
So it was a clash of styles. Korea's calculated precision
Exactly.
versus China's high-octane aggression. Who else is in the mix?
Europe also established itself as a major force
Okay.
with their league, which was initially called the European LCS
Right.
and is now known as the LEC,
The LEC.
which stands for League of Legends European Championship. European teams developed a reputation for being innovative and adaptable,
Okay.
often challenging the established meta
Yeah.
with unconventional strategies
Okay.
and team compositions.
It sounds like they were like the wild cards,
Yeah,
always keeping their opponents guessing.
exactly. They weren't afraid to experiment, to think outside the box,
Yeah.
and that made them incredibly dangerous.
Right.
And then, of course, you had North America
Mm-hmm.
with their LCS, which stands for League of Legends Championship Series.
Yeah, right?
While they haven't achieved the same level of international success as Korea,
Right.
China,
Mhm.
or Europe,
Yeah.
the LCS has always boasted a passionate fan base and a tendency to produce star players.
So it's like they were the underdogs.
Yes.
Always striving to prove themselves on the world stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their storylines.
Yeah.
Their struggles
Yeah.
and their occasional triumphs
Yeah.
have always resonated with fans, adding another layer of intrigue to the global esports narrative.
With all these regional powers vying for supremacy,
Yeah.
it must have made the World Championship even more intense.
Oh, absolutely. Worlds, as it's commonly known,
Right.
became the pinnacle of competitive LOL.
Yeah.
The event where all these regional rivalries culminated in a battle for global supremacy.
Speaking of Worlds, didn't Riot start to get really creative
Yes.
with their tournament production around this time?
They really did. As LOL esports grew in popularity, Riot consistently raised the bar for Worlds each year.
Yeah.
They started incorporating immersive opening ceremonies with musical performances and elaborate stage productions.
Yeah, didn't they have that incredible holographic KDA performance at Worlds 2018?
Yes.
That was incredible.
It was spectacular.
Yeah.
They were pushing the boundaries of what an esports event could be,
Yeah.
transforming Worlds into a true spectacle,
Right.
a celebration of not just the game, but also the community and its creativity.
And they weren't just getting creative with the ceremonies.
Right.
They were also hosting Worlds in some truly iconic venues.
They were.
Right.
Which is like Beijing's Bird's Nest.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Paris's Accor Hotels Arena.
Yeah.
And other world-class venues that added to the grandeur and prestige of the event.
It sounds like they were pulling out all the stops.
Yeah.
To make Worlds an unforgettable experience.
They absolutely were.
Yeah.
They understood that Worlds wasn't just about crowning a champion.
Yeah.
It was about creating a shared experience for millions of fans around the world.
Right.
And they also came up with an ingenious way to boost the prize pools for Worlds,
Okay.
making it even more lucrative for the players.
Oh, yeah. What was that all about?
They started releasing special championship-themed skins
Okay.
in the game with a portion of the sales going directly to the World's prize pool.
Okay.
It was a win-win.
Yeah.
Fans could show their support for their favorite teams while also contributing to the growth of the esports scene.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
It gave fans a direct way to be a part of the action and made Worlds even more exciting. But with all this growth and innovation, LOL Esports must have faced some challenges.
Of course.
Along the way.
Right. Staying at the top is never easy.
Right.
Especially in the fast-paced world of esports.
Yeah.
The landscape is constantly changing, with new games emerging,
Right.
new technologies developing,
Yeah.
and new challenges arising.
So what were some of the biggest hurdles that LOL Esports had to overcome?
Well, the rise of competing esports titles was a constant pressure.
Okay.
Games like Dota 2, CSGO,
Yeah.
and even Riot's own Valorant
Oh, right.
started to gain traction,
Yeah.
each with their own dedicated communities and competitive scenes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there was the constant need to balance the game.
Ah, yes, the eternal struggle of keeping a game balanced for both competitive play and casual enjoyment.
Exactly. It's a delicate tightrope walk.
Right.
You want to ensure that the game is fair and competitive for the pros,
Yeah.
but you also don't want to alienate the millions of casual players who might not be as invested in the esports scene.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So it's a tough balance.
So how did Riot approach this challenge?
They adopted a very proactive approach,
Okay.
constantly updating the game, introducing new champions, items, and gameplay mechanics
Yeah.
to keep things fresh and exciting.
Okay.
They also invested in new technologies,
Yeah.
like AI coaching tools,
Okay.
to help players improve their skills.
It sounds like they were determined to stay ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and adapt to the ever-changing landscape of esports.
They absolutely were.
Okay.
And that commitment to innovation and evolution has been a key factor in LOL's enduring success.
This has been an incredible journey so far. We've gone from humble beginnings with a Warcraft III mod
Right.
to a global esports phenomenon with millions of fans and some seriously innovative approaches to competition and community building. But our deep dive into the world of LOL esports isn't over yet. There's one more crucial element we need to explore.
And in our next act, we'll uncover the secret weapon behind LOL's enduring success, the passionate and dedicated community that fuels its growth.
All right, looking forward to that. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. We're continuing our exploration of League of Legends esports and how it became such a global phenomenon.
Last time we traced LOL's journey from a Warcraft III mod to a game with this massive global community and a thriving esports scene. But we only scratched the surface of what makes LOL esports so captivating to watch.
Right, because under the hood of this seemingly simple game lies this world of intricate strategies and mind games that can make even the most seasoned chess player's head spin.
So let's unpack some of those strategic layers. For those who are new to MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arenas, could you give us just like a quick rundown of the basic gameplay?
Absolutely. Imagine a map with 3 main paths or lanes that connect the 2 teams' bases. Each team has 5 players, each controlling a unique champion with special abilities.
Got it.
The goal is to push down these lanes, destroy the enemy team's towers, and ultimately their base, called the Nexus.
That sounds straightforward enough. But where does all this strategy come in?
Well, there's a lot more going on than just running down lanes. First off, you have over 160 champions to choose from, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and roles. You have tanks who absorb damage, damage dealers who dish it out, supports who heal and protect their teammates, and mages who control the battlefield with their magic.
So it sounds like building a team comp, as they call it? Must be like assembling this puzzle, making sure all the pieces fit together.
Precisely. And that's where the draft phase comes in. Before each match, teams go through this strategic selection process called the draft, where they take turns picking and banning champions. This is a mind game in itself. Teams try to anticipate their opponent's strategies, secure their own preferred champions, and deny their opponents the champs they want to play. A well-executed draft can give a team a significant advantage even before the match begins.
So the draft is like a chess match before the main event.
Exactly. And once the game starts, the strategic layers get even deeper. You have to worry about lane control, which is basically winning the mini battles that happen in each of the 3 lanes. You need to manage your minion waves, those little AI-controlled soldiers. Deny your opponent gold and experience. And push your advantage to take down towers.
It sounds like there's this constant push and pull, like this strategic tug of war happening across the map.
Absolutely. And then you have the jungle.
Okay.
This area between the lanes that's filled with neutral monsters.
Right.
The jungler, who's like a stealthy hunter,
Okay.
roams this area,
Yeah.
farming these monsters for gold and experience,
Okay.
and looking for opportunities to gank,
Okay.
which means ambushing enemy laners
Right.
to give their teammates an advantage.
So the jungler is like a wild card, always lurking in the shadows, ready to shake things up.
They can definitely swing the momentum of a match
Yeah.
with well-timed ganks
Yeah.
and objective control.
Speaking of objectives, you
Yeah.
mentioned those earlier.
Yes.
What are those all about?
Objectives are key points on the map
Okay.
that give teams significant advantages when they capture them.
Okay.
The most important one is Baron Nashor,
Okay.
a powerful monster that grants this huge buff
Wow.
to the entire team that slays him.
So securing Baron can be like a turning point in a match.
It can definitely be a game changer, especially in the later stages of a game.
Okay.
It allows a team to push more aggressively
Uh-huh.
or mount a comeback if they're behind.
Right.
And then you have the dragons,
Okay.
these elemental creatures that also spawn in the jungle.
Okay, I remember you mentioned dragons earlier
Uh-huh.
when we were talking about the regional playstyles.
Mhm.
Are there different kinds of dragons?
There are. You have the Infernal Drake,
Okay.
which increases your team's attack damage and ability power.
Okay.
The Mountain Drake, which grants bonus armor and magic resistance.
Okay.
The Ocean Drake, which regenerates your team's health and mana.
Okay.
And the Cloud Drake, which gives your team increased movement speed.
Wow. So each dragon gives like a different strategic advantage.
Right.
How do teams decide which ones to prioritize?
It depends on their team composition,
Okay.
their overall game plan,
Mm-hmm.
and the current state of the match.
Okay.
For example, a team that's ahead might try to secure as many dragons as possible
Yeah.
to snowball their advantage.
Yeah.
While a team that's behind might focus on stealing a specific dragon that would benefit their composition.
So it's not just about killing dragons.
Right.
It's about strategically choosing which ones to go for.
Exactly. And all these factors,
Yeah.
from champion selection
Yeah.
to lane control
Yeah.
to objective control,
Mm.
are constantly interacting,
Yeah.
creating this incredibly complex and dynamic game state that's constantly evolving.
I can see why people say that League of Legends is like a game of chess mixed with a high-octane action movie.
It's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
You have the strategic planning and calculated moves of chess
Right.
combined with the fast-paced action and intense team fights
Yeah.
that make it a thrill to watch.
And speaking of watching,
Right.
what are some key things to keep in mind when you're watching a professional LOL match?
Yeah.
Like, what should viewers be paying attention to?
Well, a good starting point is to try to identify each team's win condition.
Okay.
That's their overall game plan. Are they trying to snowball an early lead with aggressive plays?
Yeah.
Or are they playing a more scaling composition,
Okay.
aiming to out-farm their opponents and win in the late game?
So it's like figuring out each team's strategy and then seeing how those strategies clash.
Exactly. And pay attention to the small details.
Okay.
How are teams managing their minion waves?
Right.
Where are they placing their wards to gain vision control?
Yeah.
How are they rotating around the map to secure objectives and set up ganks?
It sounds like there's so much happening at once
There is.
that it could be easy to miss those like crucial moments.
That's why having good commentators is so important.
Right.
They act as guides,
Yeah.
pointing out those key moments,
Right.
explaining the strategies,
Yeah.
and adding their own analysis and insights
Yeah.
to the viewing experience.
Okay, so we've got the basics of gameplay.
Right.
We've got the draft phase,
Yeah.
the strategic layers of lane control and objectives, and the importance of understanding each team's win condition.
Right.
But what about those regional playstyles you mentioned earlier?
Right.
Didn't you say that different regions develop their own unique approaches to the game?
Absolutely. And these contrasting play styles
Yeah.
were one of the things that made LOL Esports
Yeah.
so fascinating to watch.
Okay.
You had the meticulous planning and disciplined execution of Korea's LCK,
Right.
the aggressive and explosive style of China's LPL,
Yeah.
the innovative and adaptable approach of Europe's LEC,
Right.
and the underdog spirit of North America's LCS.
Let's break it down a bit further.
Okay.
Starting with Korea.
Yeah.
What were some of the defining characteristics of the Korean playstyle?
Korean teams were known for their incredible macro play,
Okay.
which is basically their overall strategy and decision-making
Mm-hmm.
on like a map-wide level.
Mm-hmm.
They were masters of vision control,
Okay.
using wards to light up areas of the map
Yeah.
and track enemy movements.
Okay.
They were also incredibly efficient at farming and securing objectives,
Okay.
slowly but surely strangling their opponents.
Wow.
And accumulating these small advantages
Right.
that would eventually snowball into a victory.
So they were all about playing the long game,
Yes.
methodically outmaneuvering their opponents
Mm-hmm.
and squeezing them out of the game.
Right.
Did they have any specific strategies or tactics that they were known for?
One of their signature moves was the Korean slow push,
Oh, okay.
where they would methodically push down a lane,
Okay.
slowly but surely accumulating waves of minions
Yeah.
and applying pressure to the enemy team's towers.
Right.
This tactic was all about patience, discipline,
Yeah.
and maximizing efficiency.
It sounds like they were playing a mental game
For sure.
as much as a physical one,
Yes.
slowly wearing down their opponent's resolve.
Exactly. And it was incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Korean teams dominated the international stage
Right.
for many years, winning multiple world championships and establishing themselves as the gold standard
Wow.
of low-L esports.
So what about China? You said their playstyle was much more aggressive, right? How did that contrast with the Korean approach?
Chinese teams were known for their incredible individual talent
Right.
and their willingness to make big plays.
Okay.
They were much less risk-averse
Yeah.
than Korean teams, often opting for high-risk, high-reward maneuvers
Right.
that could either lead to spectacular victories
Yeah.
or disastrous defeats.
Wow.
They were all about pushing the tempo,
Mm-hmm.
constantly looking for fights,
Yeah.
and forcing their opponents to react to their aggression.
It sounds like they were playing with a lot more swagger,
Yeah.
a lot more flair.
Hmm.
Did they have any signature moves or strategies?
One of their defining characteristics
Okay.
was their emphasis on team fighting,
Okay.
particularly in the mid-game.
Yeah.
They would often group up as 5 and look for engagements,
Okay.
trusting in their individual skill and team coordination to overwhelm their opponents.
Yeah.
They were also known for their creative use of champions
Yeah.
and their willingness to experiment with unconventional team compositions.
So it was like they were constantly testing the limits,
Yeah,
pushing the boundaries of what was possible in Lowell.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that unpredictability made them incredibly exciting to watch.
Right. Yeah.
You never knew what they were going to do next.
Yeah.
And that kept their opponents on their toes.
Okay. So we've got Korea's methodical macro play,
Right.
China's explosive aggression.
Yeah.
What about Europe? You said they were known for their innovation and adaptability?
European teams always had a reputation for being a bit more unorthodox
Okay.
in their approach to the game. They weren't afraid to challenge the established meta,
Mm-hmm.
to try new things,
Yeah.
and to experiment with different strategies.
Okay.
They were also known for their strong individual players,
Yeah.
many of whom had a reputation for being incredibly mechanically skilled.
So they were kind of like the rebels of the LOL esports scene. You know,
Yeah.
shaking things up,
Yeah,
keeping everyone guessing.
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
They were always looking for new ways to gain an edge,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't afraid to take risks. One of their defining characteristics was their willingness to play around their star players,
Okay.
giving them the resources and freedom they needed to carry the game.
So it was like they were building their strategies around the strengths of their individual players,
Exactly.
rather than adhering to a rigid, predetermined game plan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that made them incredibly adaptable.
Right.
They could adjust their strategies on the fly,
Yeah.
depending on the opponent, the draft, and the flow of the game.
And what about North America? You mentioned they were the underdogs, always striving to make their mark on the world stage.
North America has always had this passionate fan base
Mm-hmm.
and a strong tradition of producing talented players.
Yeah.
But they've historically struggled to achieve the same level of consistency and international success as Korea,
Right.
China,
Right.
or Europe.
Why do you think that is?
Yeah.
What were some of the factors that contributed to their struggles?
Well, some analysts have pointed to a lack of infrastructure and support
Okay.
for up-and-coming players
Yeah.
compared to other regions.
Okay.
Others have argued that the North American play style has historically been too reactive,
Okay.
too focused on copying what other regions are doing,
Yeah.
rather than developing their own unique identity.
So it's like they were always trying to catch up rather than setting the pace.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
But despite their struggles,
Yeah.
North American teams have always brought a lot of heart and determination to the international stage.
Yeah.
And they've had their moments of brilliance.
It's that underdog spirit that makes them so relatable, right? Everyone loves to root for the underdog.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the North American fans are some of those passionate and dedicated in the world.
Yeah.
They've stuck with their teams through thick and thin. And they've always been there to celebrate those rare but glorious moments when North America upsets the odds and takes down one of the international giants.
It sounds like these regional rivalries and contrasting play styles were a major part of what made LOL Esports so captivating to watch in the early days.
They definitely added another layer of intrigue and excitement to the competitive scene.
Yeah.
And they weren't just for show.
Right.
They genuinely reflected different approaches to the game.
Yeah.
Different philosophies about how to achieve victory.
So it was like a clash of cultures.
Exactly.
A battle of ideas playing out on the virtual battlefields of LOL.
Right. Exactly. And that's what made it so compelling.
Yeah.
You weren't just watching teams compete.
Right.
You were watching different regions, different styles, different philosophies clashing in a battle for global supremacy.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the strategic depths and regional rivalries of LOL Esports, but we're not done yet.
There's one more crucial ingredient in LOL's esports dominance that we need to explore. The community that fuels its growth.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of League of Legends esports. We've covered a lot of ground, from the game's origins and strategic intricacies to those epic regional rivalries.
It's been quite a journey.
And now we're going to talk about the secret sauce that binds it all together.
Right.
The driving force behind LOL's lasting success.
It's a big one.
Okay, you've really built this up. What is the secret weapon?
It's the community. The LOL community isn't just a collection of fans. They are an active, passionate, and deeply invested force that shapes every aspect of the game, including its esports scene.
Okay, I can see how having like a lot of fans is important. But how does a community actually contribute to a game's esports dominance? Isn't it mostly about the players and the teams competing?
Well, the pro players are the ones on stage making those incredible plays. They wouldn't be there without the community that supports them, nurtures them, and pushes them to be better.
Okay.
It all starts with the sheer size and global reach of the LOL community. Millions of players around the world are connected by their love for this game. They're watching streams, they're discussing strategies on forums, creating fan art, even forming their own amateur leagues.
So it's like this giant interconnected web of LOL enthusiasm that extends way beyond the professional scene.
Exactly. And this constant engagement creates this dynamic ecosystem that fuels esports growth in a few really interesting ways. First, it provides a constant influx of new players, many of whom aspire to go pro.
Right.
This ensures a steady supply of talent, keeping the competitive scene fresh and constantly evolving.
So it's like a talent pipeline, constantly feeding the esports machine with new blood.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just providing players. The community also plays a crucial role in shaping the game itself.
Now that's interesting. How does that work? I thought Riot Games, the developers, were the ones calling the shots on game balance and updates.
They are, ultimately.
Okay.
But they listen very closely to the community's feedback. Remember those millions of players watching streams, playing the game, and discussing strategies?
Yeah.
They're generating this constant flow of data, insights, and opinions about what's working, what's not, and what needs to change.
So the community acts as this massive focus group, providing real-time feedback on the game's balance and design.
Exactly. And Riot Games has been very smart about incorporating that feedback into their development process.
Right.
They regularly release patches that address community concerns, tweak champion balance, and introduce new features. This collaborative approach helps ensure that the game stays fresh, engaging, and enjoyable for both casual players and esports pros.
It's a really clever way to keep a game evolving and relevant over time.
And it fosters a sense of ownership within the community. When players feel like they have a voice, that their feedback is valued, it creates this much deeper level of investment in the game and its future.
It's like they're not just playing the game, they're helping to shape it.
Exactly.
Which makes their connection to it even stronger.
Exactly. And that strong connection translates into a more passionate an engaged esports audience. When fans are deeply invested in the game, they're more likely to tune in to tournaments, buy merchandise, and spread the word about LOL esports.
It's like a virtuous cycle. A passionate community leads to a thriving esports scene, which in turn attracts more players and fans, further strengthening the community.
Precisely. And Riot Games has been very intentional about nurturing this cycle. They've organized countless events, both online and offline, that bring the community together, creating a sense of shared identity and purpose.
We talked earlier about those massive fan festivals they hold. During events like the Mid-Season Invitational, what else have they done to foster that sense of community?
Well, they've created platforms for players to connect, share their experiences, and organize their own events. They've supported amateur leagues and tournaments, giving aspiring players a chance to showcase their skills and compete for recognition. They've also been very active in engaging with the community through social media, streaming platforms, and content creation.
It sounds like they're really going above and beyond to build a strong and lasting relationship with their players.
They are. They understand that the community is the heart and soul of LOL, the foundation upon which its success is built.
So what does all of this mean for the future of LOL esports?
Well, the esports landscape is constantly changing, with new games emerging and new trends taking hold. But LOL has a few key advantages that suggest a bright future.
Like what?
First, it has a proven track record of success. It's been a major force in esports for over a decade, with a dedicated global fan base and a robust competitive ecosystem.
They've weathered storms, adapted to changes, and consistently found ways to innovate and stay relevant.
Exactly. And they've built a brand that is synonymous with quality, excitement, and community, and that's something that's hard to replicate.
So you're saying that LOL has this strong foundation to build upon, even as the esports world continues to evolve around it.
I am. And they're not resting on their laurels. Riot Games is constantly pushing the boundaries, experimenting with new formats, expanding into new regions, and investing in new technologies to enhance the viewing experience.
I'm thinking back to those early World Championships, held in relatively small venues compared to the massive stadiums they fill today. It's quite a journey.
It really is, and it's a testament to their vision, their adaptability, and their unwavering commitment to the community that has made it all possible.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of League of Legends esports, what's the one key takeaway you want listeners to remember?
LOL's dominance isn't just about the game itself. It's about the ecosystem they've built around it, the passion of the community, and the constant drive to innovate and evolve.
It's a fascinating story of how a game born from a humble mod became this global esports phenomenon, pushing the boundaries of competitive gaming and entertainment.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into League of Legends esports. A huge thanks to our expert for guiding us through this incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all you listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the things that fascinate you. Until next time.